Okay everyone, welcome to the video, and today we're going to talk about sequences. This moment we're working on sequence 1, track 1, and in track 1 we have a drum program, and this is the name of the drum program. Whatever is shown in the screen, it's what we are working on at the moment, okay? Mpc comes with 128 sequences, okay, and you can just choose any sequence that you want, and you can work in any sequence that you want. You don't need to start with sequence 1. You can start with sequence 7, 17, whatever sequence you want to start with. Okay, so inside the sequence we have tracks, and tracks come with programs, drum programs or VSTs, plugins. We also have other types such as MIDI. We have clip programs, key group programs, and if you own the Mpc X, then you have access to the CV programs. Okay, cool, but we're going to be working with drum programs for now. So I have sequence 1 here, working on sequence 1, track 1, and we can see already that sequences, they have BPMs of their own. You either put a master BPM that will can be the master for all the sequences. Okay, so if you go to other sequences, they will all be working with a master BPM. Or you can have sequences have their own BPM. Okay, so you can jump between 84 to sequence 2, which has 98. If you turn the master on, they will all have the same BPM that you put to the master tempo. You can type in up to 999 bars per sequence, okay? So it's plenty of space for you to create several songs within one sequence. And that's one of the things that sequences can do. But normally, the way sequences are used, they're used as sections of a song. So sequence 1 can be the intro, sequence 2 can be the chorus, sequence 3 can be the verse, and so on. You divide sections of a song into sequences. It's just easier to work that way. And basically what we do is we copy sequences. So when we have something that we like, let's play this sequence now. What we can do, this sequence has 4 bars. We can copy it and keep building on the idea on another sequence. So I'm going to copy the sequence. It's going to ask me where I want to copy the sequence to. And because sequence number 2 already is being used, it's telling me that the first one that's unused, that has nothing in it, it's sequence number 3. I can say do it. Back to the main screen. And now it's showing me sequence number 3. Now I can keep building on the idea right here. Bring in another program. Let me see what I have here. So let me go to another track as well. So here we have an empty track. And I can choose another program, or I can work with the same program, okay? One of the things with sequences is that they are independent from each other. You can make them relate to each other, you can chain them and make them play the same sounds, or you can make them be a complete different song, completely different from one another. So you can use the same drum programs in several sequences, and that's how you build a song. Or you can have different instruments on the tracks, different drum programs, different plugins, if you want. So I'm going to bring in a different program. Okay, and I can start building on the idea this way. And this is how you build a song. So basically having sequences as separate sections of a song, and keep copying sequences and keep building on the sequences this way. Obviously what we're going to end up doing, it's bringing in all the sequences to the song mode and then chain them all together so they play sequentially in song mode. One cool thing to know as well is that when you're playing a sequence and you want to jump to another sequence, you can just in time jump to it this way. Okay, so as you see, you can jump between sequences. When the sequence reaches the end, it will jump then to the other sequence. So sequences in themselves, they can be completely different. So I can have this track playing in sequence 1, and then I can have a complete different song with different instruments in another sequence. You can build just a song within a sequence. In a way of doing that, it takes more time, and I don't really recommend doing it this way, but you can do it. It might give you some options that you don't have in song mode, but you can build a whole song within just one sequence. And if you have something like this, you can start to expand it. So you just go into the pencil, and here we have some options to edit the sequence. We can delete bars within the sequence, insert bars within sections of the sequence, halfen the length of the sequence, double the length. We have a few options here that we can use to edit the sequence. Okay, we're not going to get into that, but you can even come to the advanced here and just copy sections of tracks to other sequences. Take bits from one sequence to the other, and this is how you copy and edit events here on the MPC. But one of the things that you can also do here is to double the length, okay? And if you keep doubling the length, you see that the amount of bars keeps increasing. And by this, you can actually build a song this way. So you can just say, I want it now to start in bar number 5. And you can now keep building in a section within the sequence, so you can work on sections. If you have a look there at the top, you'll see the that white line there is telling us where within the sequence the playhead is. And if you see when it reaches the end there, it doesn't go back to the beginning, but it starts from bar number 5 again. Okay, so that's one way of working with sequences as well. Instead of chaining them all together in song mode, you just keep doubling the length and working within sections of the sequence. You can look at them as an entire, just one project within a project. So you can create a whole entire song straight from a sequence, okay? But now let's have a look at song mode. So as you remember, we created a loop here in sequence 1, and then we copied it to sequence 3, and we added a guitar as well over it. So, and in case you want to know, that guitar right there is going to come out soon in one of the sound packs that we are creating here. It's a Portuguese guitar. It has a lot of melody. It's really good to sample. Okay, just leaving that out there. So if you guys are interested, it will be up in the Bandcamp website. So we created these two sequences. Now we're going to put them into song mode. Let's see how they interact, how sequences interact in song mode. Okay, so menu, song. And we can create several songs. So if you see up there, you can create several takes. So if you have several sequences that you've been working on, and you have several ideas laying around in several sequences, here is a great place where you come and then you put them together and see which ones work with which ones. So we're going to be in song number 1. Let's insert just these two. So that's sequence number 1 comes out first, and you can say how many times you want it to loop right here. So I'm just going to leave it to 1, and then sequence 3 comes after. So as you see, you don't need to put sequence 1, then sequence 2, sequence 3, and so on. You can jump in between sequences if you want, okay? And you can say that, you can hold it, or you can make it repeat as many times as you want, okay? So basically, all it's going to do is going to play 4 bars and then jump to sequence number 3. So this is it. This is how you would chain sequences together in song mode. Very simple. There's an option that we have here. So we have the convert to sequence. Basically, it takes the sequences and puts them all together into one sequence. So It takes us to sequence number 4, which has nothing. You can choose whichever sequence you want. You can say number 10. Include mute tracks. So if you have done any mutes to the tracks, if you recorded any mutes, you want it to be included, or you want to ignore the mutes. It's really up to you. I haven't done any mutes on it, so I'm just going to go and do it. Now if you go to sequence number 10, there we have our song. So basically it has sequence 1 and after has sequence number 3, and it all plays out together very well. That's how you convert your song to a sequence. Very useful. You can then go ahead and just work on sections here of this sequence if you want. Okay, sequence 1, track 1, drums are in track 1. Sequence 3, drums are also in track 1. So if you edit something in a program, that will be edited in the program. Any sequence that is using the same program will be affected, okay? Just a good thing to know that here on this, if you see the name of the drum track, let's so I'm using this kick right here, right? So if I edit the kick, let's just pitch it down. That's going to be affected as well in sequence number 3 because it's using the same drum program. So sequences are independent, but if you're using the same programs in several sequences, be aware that if you change something in that drum program, it will be changed when you use that same program in another sequence because you are basically affecting the program. If you don't want to affect that, and let's listen to it. Okay, and if you don't want that to happen, if you just want to edit something just for that sequence alone, so what you do, you can either copy the pad and put it somewhere else. Okay, actually I'm using all the pads except this one, so you can copy the pad. Okay, let's put this back to where it was, so it's 0. Or you can copy the program. Okay, so if you tap on the pencil, it will give you the option to duplicate the program. Once you duplicate a program, it will appear straight away in the track. Now sequence 3, track 1 has this drum program. Sequence 1 has the other, which is the same drum program that I copied, but now we have 2 drum programs. Okay, so if I affect something here, okay, go to sequence 3, it's not going to get affected. And just to finish this video off, okay, there's another thing I want to touch as well. When we are working in song mode, if we do want to convert a song to a sequence, there's a thing that we should know as well, and that is that all the tracks should have the same program. Let's have a look at this. So sequence 1, track 1 has this drum program. If I was to chain this sequence together as well, because it has a different drum program within track 1, so sequence 1, track 1, drums, sequence 2, track 1, program 1. Because the drum programs, or because the programs are different in the same track number, they're going to conflict when you're bouncing it out to a sequence in song mode. Let's have a look at that. So let's go to the menu, song mode. Let's go to a different song. Let's insert 2 sections. I'm going to put sequence number 1 and sequence number 2. So as we saw previously, track 1 has this drum program. Track 1 has a different drum program. They play well together. There's no problem if you play them sequentially. They will be playing okay. So they jump from one to the other, no problem. The only problem comes after you convert this to a sequence, because you don't have the same programs in the same track number. Let's see what happens. So I bounced it out to sequence number 4. Let's see how it sounds. As you can see, it doesn't work right because there's a different drum program within this track in sequence number 2. It's program 1, okay? If you do want to export a song to a sequence, you should make sure that when you are building sections of the song, all the tracks, track 1 and all the sequence has the same program, or at least it has the same sounds that you want to use. For instance, sequence 1 has drums, and sequence 3 also has the drums. It's a program that was copied by the original program, but it contains the same sounds. It's not going to trigger different samples. It's going to trigger the same samples. They might have different effects to them, but they are still the same samples, and that's going to work. But if you happen to have different programs, it's going to play differently. This is what's going to happen basically, okay? It's going to play samples that should not be there. And with that, that's my brief view over sequences, how they work together, and it's very simple basically. You can create a whole song just in one sequence, or the most common way of using sequences is using them as sections of a song. If you do have any questions, if there's something that wasn't quite clear to you, let me know. Leave it in the comment section below. Okay, it was a pleasure bringing you this video. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't yet. Please do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you.